Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the May 18th, 2016 edition of the Midweek Update here on Rasslin with Redbeard. If you'll excuse me before we get going, I have to make a very important phone call. There were two guys parading around as John Schuyler and Corey Hollis on Raw this past Monday. Yes, this is the authorities. Yes, I'd like to report a crime. Yes, gimmick infringement. Yes, I'm serious. Why are you laughing? Stop. Number 5 story of the week is that Cedric Alexander will be making an appearance with Evolve, and he could be a part of the WWE Global Cruiserweight Series as well. Let me go ahead and correct myself. The WWE Global Cruiserweight Series is apparently now being called the WWE Cruiserweight Classic. That's something of a rename there, but at any rate, the bigger part of the story is the fact that not only did Cedric Alexander very publicly here recently go through a separation with Ring of Honor. He announced that he is done with that company. They did have an amicable split, apparently. No hard feelings there whatsoever. Just a situation where it was time for him to move on. He is going to now be working with Evolve, at least for the next 2 events that they are promoting. That's Evolve 62 and Evolve 63, set to take place in Tampa and Orlando, Florida, respectively. The big thing that we've been talking about here for a number of weeks in regard to Cedric is, of course, that he's been cutting weight. He is now at that special magical weight division where he could be considered a cruiserweight or a junior. The big thing there, of course, is that this was a timing coincidental type of thing, in that he not only became available from his Ring of Honor obligations, but that he was cutting weight, and then all of a sudden here too, the Global Cruiserweight Series, or the Cruiserweight Classic, whatever you want to call it, was happening around that same time. So it does look like the stars are aligning here, at least to some degree. It does look like he will at least be on these shows. Whether or not he's a part of the series, of the tournament, that's yet to be seen. We're not really sure what's going to happen there, but he has been involved in some workouts, some tryouts with WWE earlier this year. A lot of good things evidently happening for Cedric right now, as he not only has all this to go through, but he's also, of course, won the PWI Ultra J Championship here not too long ago. So a lot of awesome things going on with Cedric, and can't say more for him. As I've said here numerous times, he's one of those talents from this area that if you have a chance to go see, pay your money and go see him before you have to go pay a lot more money in the future to see him compete on a bigger stage. Number 4 story of the week is that even more talents have been released by WWE. The 2 big names that came out here within the past week were Brooklyn Brawler and also Christian, both of whom were released from their agreements with WWE. Probably for varying reasons, though. Brawler had been with the company for a very long time, 30 years, either as a performer or as in some type of producer. He was involved with a number of backstage elements, did the vignettes and whatnot that a lot of guys were involved with, and was involved with a number of aspects of their production. Not really knowing what happened to suddenly trigger his release, if he just wanted to go home or what there, but he's no longer with the company. The more surprising one, by chance, might be Christian no longer being under a talent contract. This is surprising because the fact that people thought, oh, well, he could maybe come back at some point in time. He's still making appearances with the WWE Network with the Edgy Christian show, which is very good, by the way. I will say that that's one of the more entertaining shows that's on the network. But he's now been let go as well. He probably will still make some type of appearances with the network. It's not known whether or not they're going to do another season of the Edgy Christian show. May or may not happen there, but it does look as though the opportunity is still there for them to work together in the future. The one that people have been talking a lot about, and that nobody really seems to know for sure what's going on with, is Lillian Garcia. And that's the one that's going to surprise a lot of people if it actually does happen. As you may know, if you watched Raw this past week, she was there doing her normal thing there, handling the announcing duties. But her name has been one that's been thrown around as a potential release. And it has to do with some stories that have been bannered around online with some altercations or disagreements or whatnot that she's gotten into, some of them very visible, with some of the ringside crew. Kind of weird. Just one of those things to where you almost want to, in some cases, say, is that kind of her having a prima donna moment or what? But regardless, there could be more to the story than what we've been told. She has not been released, though. She is still with the company. It'll be interesting to see if she shows up at the Extreme Rules event this weekend, and moving forward, what her exact role is with the company. But she's definitely been one who's had her name talked about with these releases, so we'll see what happens in the future. Number 3 story of the week is that Adam Page has joined Bullet Club. Pretty significant moment here for him, because the fact that this is a major thing in the world of professional wrestling right now. Haven't really had a stable like the Bullet Club come along since the New World Order. And it's very similar in terms of its makeup nowadays, in that you've got some of the top talent in the world as part of this particular organization. Bullet Club now is a mixture of guys from all over. Of course, the primary components are the Elite there, where you've got Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. Then you've got Cody Hall, the Guerrillas of Destiny, Adam Page, and now also Adam Cole. Two Adams on the group here suddenly. It's a group that has been forced to reload, of course, here this year, because of the fact that not only did AJ Styles, but also Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows all said, okay, we're going to take some Vince McMahon money and go up there and get paid. Not that they weren't getting paid by New Japan, obviously, but it's a little bit better of a work schedule when it comes to being a part of the WWE roster. But at any rate, this was something of a unique and unexpected move. If you follow Ring of Honor, you know that not too long ago, Adam Page was involved with the Decade faction. That really just coming off of that feud there, suddenly get reinserted into the product as a member of the Bullet Club, caught a lot of people off guard. He didn't seem like a real, I'll say, obvious pick for a member of that group, but they're taking what they can get at this point in time, because I hate to say it, but there are some rather slim pickings when it goes around to guys who just don't have much going on in the Ring of Honor product, and who haven't really been all that too introduced to New Japan and the goings on in that part of the world. So we'll have to see what they've got in store for him, but definitely a good opportunity for him, and big things happening still with the Bullet Club. Number 2 story of the week is the continuing tragedy that is Adam Rowe's career. This is a story that has just really disappointed a lot of people, because of the fact that not only did you have folks cheering for Adam Rose after the ESPN special that revolved around him, but to see this sort of tumbling into nothingness that he's been having the past couple of weeks really set a lot of people on their ear. As you know, he was suspended along with Connor from the Ascension on a WWE wellness violation. That was a 60-day suspension, his second, and then here within the past 14 days, he was arrested for not only domestic assault, but also felony tampering with a witness after his wife attempted to call emergency services, and he evidently got in her face, and the situation went downhill from there. Really don't know what to say about it at this point in time. It's really, really disheartening to have a guy that so many people were pulling for after the story came out about him more or less fighting for his family and fighting to, provide for his children and his wife, to come to this, to where he's now been indefinitely suspended by WWE. Chances are, he was joking before about the fact that his career might be over whenever he was talking about his ADD medication or ADHD medication being what led to his wellness violation. But in this case, it looks like he's probably done, period. It's because it's very unlikely that he'll be able to overcome all this stuff that he's got going on. It's just too much too fast. That said, there may or may not be a actual conviction coming for any of these charges. He did get released on bail. It was a very small bail amount, only $1,000, because of the fact that his wife came forward and asked for leniency from the judge when he was going to be sent up the river, more or less. But have to see what happens with his career going forward, but definitely doesn't look good at this point in time. And the number 1 story of the week is our preview of the WWE Extreme Rules event. This is a show that is a once-a-year type of thing with a lot of gimmick matches involved, and despite what the name would really imply, there's really only one true Extreme Rules match, even though some of these would kind of be an Extreme Rules match. We'll go through the list of what we've got here as far as the matches that are going to be happening this Sunday. We got the Tag Team Championship match, the New Day versus the Vaudevillains. Not expecting that to change hands whatsoever. I would be utterly shocked if the Vaudevillains get a title run. I don't think that there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are convinced of the Vaudevillains' ability to do anything long term. It's just kind of a weird gimmick, and it's not something that has any type of a reach to it, in my opinion, but you never know. They're both talented guys. They've done a lot with that gimmick, but I just don't think it's going to wind up with them getting any type of a tag team title run. Moving from there, you've got the United States Championship, Kalisto versus Rusev. I think this is, I said in the previous one that this could be Ryback's chance, and we all saw where that went. But I think that Rusev is definitely deserving of a title. If you look at his body of work over the past 6 or 8 months, you see the level of improvement that he's gone through, not only physically, but in the ring, and also in being able to talk. Of course, he's got Lana with him, but really one of the top guys in promotion, I have to say right now. He looks like a monster, just really does come off that way. So we'll be very interested to see how that match goes, because Ryback and Kalisto did have a fantastic match at the Payback pay-per-view. So it'll be interesting to see if he and Rusev can turn in something similar there. The Intercontinental title match will be one that we're very interested in, because of the fact that it's got a lot of talent involved there. Miz will be defending against not only Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, but also Cesaro. So a lot of people involved in that match, and a lot of potential there for some interesting things to happen. The Women's Championship has a couple of stipulations involved with it. Not only is it a submission match, but also if Ric Flair is involved, Charlotte will be immediately stripped of the title. So there you go. Will be the first time Ric has had the obligation of not being allowed to be around certain women. Then you've got a no DQ match between Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. Of course, no titles involved there. However, I will say that stands to be one of the more entertaining matches on the card. We saw them this past Sunday in a match at the WWE Live event in Columbia, South Carolina. And they were the first match on the card, but they were very entertaining. They had good chemistry between the two of them. Corbin, of course, is a near legit 7-footer, and Dolph Ziggler, one of the best that they've got, probably one of the best in the world in terms of being able to make effective use of somebody like Corbin's talents. Really looking forward to that. So it could be a good match, and probably a sleeper on the card here as well. Then you have something that is a new thing called an Asylum match between Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho. The Asylum is more or less just like a cage type match with weapons involved. However, the normal stipulation of a cage match, to where one of your objectives in winning is to escape the cage, is not in play here. You really only win by pinfall or submission, so you're essentially having an extreme rules contest, no DQ type thing, except within the confines of a cage with weapons in play. So it is what it is. Then you've got a tornado tag team match with the Usos versus the Club. This is a stipulation that you don't see very often, and it winds up being just a every man for himself type scenario, where you've got all 4 members of the tag teams that can be in play and be pinned at any point in time. That makes a lot of people wonder, well, is it really a tag team match? But yeah, it is, but it's not a traditional tag match by any stretch of the imagination. Look for the Usos to get some rub from this one, just because of the fact that I think they're still on an upswing in terms of their climb, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not they do win here, because if they don't, then that kind of leads you to believe what might happen with the main event, which of course is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship match between Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, which will be contested under Extreme Rules. That match, I'm thinking, could be pretty crazy. Depends on how safe they want to play it, though, because you've got one guy in the form of AJ Styles who's coming off with some nagging injuries, and the other guy, Roman Reigns, who they're trying to do their best to give this long-term outlook to. I think it'll be a fun match, but I think it's probably something that's not going to yield a whole lot of continuation to any storylines here. You're probably going to wind up with him leading with the title, and AJ maybe turning heel. I don't know. Full-fledged heel, I guess we could say. But we'll have to wait and see what goes on there. Something we'll also have to wait and see how it plays out are the local events that are happening this weekend. And as I have mentioned on previous editions of this show, last week's especially, there were a lot of events happening in this part of the world, and there are a whole lot happening this weekend as well. By my count, there are in the area of 18 shows happening between North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. You got PWX, you got CWA, you've got Old School Championship Wrestling. Pretty much everybody is running this weekend, and that's amazing. The fact that there's enough talent in this area to go around to support all those shows really kind of blows your mind. But it's happening, and not only that, you've also, of course, got things like the All-Star race happening in North Carolina as well. So a lot of events happening this weekend in this part of the world. So let's go ahead and roll those posters, get you caught up on what's happening, and we'll be back in a few moments to round out the show. Alright, there you have it. Our rundown of the events that are coming your way this weekend. If you are a wrestler, a promoter, or in some way involved with a wrestling promotion, and you didn't see your poster in that part of the show, it's because we didn't know about it. We do our best to peruse social media to keep abreast of what's happening in this part of the world, but we do miss things. That said, if you'd send us a line via email, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you got, we'd be glad to put your stuff out there. We'd be glad to promote what we can for you, because it's a big part of what we do here on Rasslin with Redbeard. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. If you enjoy the program, go ahead and click that like button. And if you really enjoy what we've got on the channel, go ahead and click subscribe, which you'll definitely want to do because of the fact that there will be a new Rasslin with Redbeard main show coming sometime within the next few days to week. Yes, it all depends on how much time I have to edit that thing. Yeah. And that was from our experience with Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling last weekend in Sherall, South Carolina. Yes, Sherall, not Cheraw, as one of our local weather people once said. Never have forgotten that one. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. We'll see you next week.